great God. Amen. Please be seated. As we look on, reflect on the over 400 years of Black presence on these shores, the message this morning is, we've come this far by faith. It is news we need to share. It is news we need to shout. So look to your neighbor and share the news. We've come this far by faith. We've come this far by faith. Toni Morrison, one of the most prolific writers this country has ever known and ever produced, is dead. She has joined the ancestors, but her spirit, her writings remain with us. Her writings that detail Black life, that plumb the depth of Black life in all its incarnations, will forever be with us. In the novel, Beloved, Seth commits infanticide, kills her baby, and in killing her baby, freed the baby who would become beloved from a life of slavery. Slavery, that peculiar institution, the ravages of which remain with us today. A peculiar institution begun by Christians on these shores. An institution that denied humanity to God's creatures of ebony grace. We are here this morning not to commemorate, not to celebrate, not to observe an anniversary of the first Africans arriving first at Fort Comfort, what today is Hampton, Virginia, and then taken to Jamestown in the colony of Virginia in 1619. The first permanent English colony on these shores. We are not here to celebrate human beings having been brought across the Atlantic by Portuguese slavers on the ship, the San Juan Batista, slave ship named St. John the Baptist. And then stolen by the sailors of the White Lion, who would trade human beings for food and other supplies in Jamestown. We are not here to celebrate human beings' mistreatment of other human beings. No, we are here to reflect on the more than 400 years of Black presence in this country, Black survival, that would challenge white people and result in the development of a people of Black people whose love, strength, and faith in what the very Reverend Kelly Brown Douglas writes, faith in the great high God kept them, kept us, kept our souls from being torn apart, being destroyed. Because ultimately that was the goal, to break us down, to destroy us as a people, to be used as beasts of burden, to make us doubt ourselves, to get us to believe that we were nothing, and that enslavement was better than freedom, that enslavement was our natural condition. We have come this far by faith. We have come this far by faith. It is our faith that has gotten us to this place and this time. We are here to celebrate that we, whose ancestors were forcefully brought here, that we have survived a system of chattel slavery. A system of slavery unlike any other system of slavery this world has ever seen. In chattel slavery, a person is owned forever, and the person's children are born into slavery and owned forever. You give birth to children who look like you, and they are not yours. Again, as Kelly Brown Douglas reminds us, the Black body was never meant to be free in this country. There was no plan for freedom. There was no plan for manumission. Freedom of the Black body was forced on this country. It was assumed, it was planned that the Black body would be enslaved in perpetuity. Chattel slaves are treated as property, as things to be bought and sold. Not human beings, but things. But we have survived. We who sit here today, whose ancestors arrived in the holds of slave ships, have beaten the odds. Over 12 million Africans were taken out of Africa. Chattel slavery helped to finance the Industrial Revolution around the world and created the wealth this country's 1% hoards today. As American University professor Reverend Gayle has said, we have been resilient in the face of violence, in the face of terrorism. We have been terrorized because of the color of our skin, and we have survived. We who trace our ancestors to the holds of those slave ships have been here in this land before the Mayflower, before the first pilgrim stepped off those ships. In fact, our history tells us that we were here in what would become the United States 100 years before Jamestown. That enslaved Africans were part of the Spanish expedition to establish a settlement in present-day South Carolina. Yet the yearning to be free propelled those Africans to launch a rebellion and destroy that settlement. Over 500,000 Africans, men, women, and children, had already been forcefully brought to the Americas before 1619, before Jamestown. So while we lift up 1619, we are called to remember that it was not the first contact Africans had with the New World. Let us remember that this is our home. We are not strangers here. There's really no place to go back to, because this is our home. That in fact, those who met the White Lion that day at Fort Comfort, who purchased those black human beings, they were the true occupiers. They were the true invaders. We were already sold by our genetic skinfolk in Africa for 30 pieces of silver, kidnapped by European so-called Christians. Our ancestors were tortured in the holds of those slave ships, loose packed, tight packed, ensuring that more would reach the auction block in the Americas, packed so tight there was no space at all between the bodies, packed on shelves that were 18 inches high. 18 inches high. If you turn on your side at night when you sleep, you need more than 18 inches. Packed tight, because the more of the black bodies they could ensure getting here, the more their profit. And so they packed because they knew a certain number would die on the voyage. We have survived indentured servitude. We have survived the auction block. We have survived the back-breaking work picking cotton from can't see in the morning till can't see at night. We have survived being treated as brood mares bearing children who would add to the enslaver's stock. We have survived working in white people's homes, taking care of children when our own children were either sold off or in freedom, when the only work available took us away from our children. We fought wars for our freedom. We fought wars for the enslaver's freedom, and yet they still not see us as human. Our color marked us as inferior. With no rights, a white man was bound to respect, so said the highest court in this land. Don't fool yourselves. That belief still exists today. We have survived seasoning. How many of you have a cast iron frying pan? Raise your hand. You know, before you can use it, you got to what? You got seasonings. Well, we as a people survived seasoning in this country, the attempt to totally break us down, to strip us of everything, our names, our culture, our language, our religion, our humanity. And yet we never stopped yearning for freedom. We may have been bound, but we were never broken. We never stopped believing that God As sociologist Joe Fagan writes, enslaved African Americans have been among the foremost freedom fighters this country has ever produced. We were no backwards people. We were not savages as the Europeans and the white Americans were proclaimed to justify enslavement. We came from African countries with powerful rulers and great empires. Gold, silver, copper, and other materials were traded along well-developed trade routes. We came from countries with systems of government that would put anything in Europe or the Americas to shame. We had libraries and universities before in Europe, which became meeting places for poets, scholars, and artists from Africa and the Middle East. But as we look at our treatment in this country that has become our home beginning in 1619, in all of this was the church, our church, this church, the Church of England, that after the fight for the colonists' freedom would become the Episcopal Church. When the first 29 Negroes set foot in Jamestown in 1619, the church was the state and the state was the church. The church and the state were one and the same. 1619 is also the year the House of Burgess was formed in Virginia. To be a member of the House of Burgess, to be a member of that governing body, a man had to be a member of the Church of England. Church attendance was mandatory. The church served as a seat of government in the colony. The vestry served as both court and corrections. Fines were levied and collected by the vestry, the wardens, for violation of colonial law. To entice ministers in England to come to the Virginia colony, vestries, the wardens, went to the auction blocks and purchased black bodies and attached them to the glebes, the land on which the church and the rectory stood. That was enticement. Not only do you have a church and someplace to live and tobacco and corn, you got black bodies. So come on over. Come on over. The church, our church, went to the auction block and purchased God's own, all while preaching God's salvation on Sunday morning. If you travel Route 95, southbound, through Virginia, you'll pass over a road called Glebe Road. Remember the glebe and how the enslaved became part of the property of the church. So the church owned slaves. The church owned slaves. But now some might argue that was the Church of England and not our church, not the Episcopal Church. But on July 3rd, 1776, the same men who were enslavers before freedom from England was declared were the founders of the eldest daughter of the Church of England, the Episcopal Church, after the War for Independence. The Church of England committed the sin of slavery, and the Episcopal Church continued to live in sin. The legacy of that sin, the illegitimate child of that sin, is this church, St. Luke's, and all of its siblings. The other historical black churches in the Episcopal Church, because whites did not want us in their churches. And so we formed our own. And if we were committed in white churches, where do we sit? In the back, or in the balcony. Which begs the questions. Why do blacks belong to the Episcopal Church? We left the Episcopal Church in droves after the Civil War, no longer wanting to be associated, affiliated with the Church of the enslaver. Why did we come back? Well, that's a subject for another sermon, so we have to come back and get that far. Yes, we're going to have to come back. But a poignant question is, why are blacks Christian? For many believe that Christianity is a white man's religion. It is true that the enslavers used the Bible to justify slavery. And we have it on point that the grandmother of theologian Howard Thurman told him never, ever to read her anything from the Apostle Paul. She didn't read nothing from Paul because of Paul's stand on slavery. You know what he said? Slaves, obey your masters. She didn't want to hear anything from Paul. But the reading from Acts gives us insight. For blacks stolen from Africa and whose backbreaking toil built this country, it is more than identifying with the Exodus. Europeans did not introduce Christianity to Africa. Europeans did not Christianize the African heathens, as history would have us believe. In this portion of Acts, Philip is on a mission in Samaria when he meets the Ethiopian eunuch, who is a court official of the Candace, the queen of Ethiopia. He is in charge of the treasury. The Ethiopian is far from home, but on a spiritual, on a religious pilgrimage. He is already a believer in the crucified and risen Lord. He is seeking to understand what Scripture says about God's plan, God's promise of salvation. He is an outsider, something the enslaved in America would identify with. He has been excluded from full participation in the covenant community because of his condition. The enslaved were excluded from the full covenant community of alleged believers because of their condition, their blackness. Being a eunuch marked the Ethiopian as different. For the enslaved, their blackness marked them as different. The Ethiopian is spiritually hungry. He wants to know, he wants to understand. And so he has been reading from the prophet Isaiah. Philip joins him and asks, do you understand what you are reading? And this is not a question about the Ethiopian's ability to read. Rather, Philip is asking, do you understand what this means for you, an outsider, in terms of your salvation? The enslaved were considered outsiders, outsiders in this country and outsiders to the salvation of God. The enslavers did not see the enslaved as bearing the image and likeness of God. But like when most of us read Scripture, there's a need to learn in community, to have a guide, to have someone who can answer questions. And so the eunuch answers, how can I understand unless someone guides me? And so they sit and they learn together. As they continue their journey, the Ethiopian spies a body of water and says, look, there is water. What is to prevent me from being baptized right here, right now? To be baptized is to be brought into the family of believers. The enslavers did not want to baptize the enslaved because then they would be free. Because if you baptize an enslaved person, you are admitting that they are now Christian. And you cannot enslave another Christian. You can't hold another Christian in bondage. But the church, oh, this church we love, found a way around that. Found a way around it. They said, the church said, baptism frees the soul of the enslaved, but not the body. The body is still being held in bondage. Plus, once the path to baptism was clear, the enslavers believed that baptism created a more docile and safer bondsperson. But as for the Ethiopian, there is nothing to prevent this conversion, this baptism. Now both the Ethiopian and Philip go down in the water. They wade in the water, and the Ethiopian is baptized, made a part of the community. Scripture says when they came up out of the water, the Spirit of the Lord snatched Philip away, and the eunuch saw him no more. There are many religious practices throughout all of Africa. And what we learn from this portion of Acts and from the first church historian, Eusebius of Caesarea, is that the Ethiopian eunuch returned to Ethiopia to share what he had learned. He shared the gospel around 330 CE, Common Era, what we call AD. Ethiopian king Ezana embraced Christianity, and Ethiopia already had a large number of Christians, perhaps through the evangelism of the Ethiopian eunuch. Christianity spread rapidly without the help of Europeans. The faith was already there when the Europeans arrived. They did not bring Christianity to Africa. They did not bring Jesus to Africa. In fact, Mary and Joseph brought Jesus to Africa when they fled from Herod and went to Egypt. Egypt is a part of Africa. Someone have us say that it's not a part of Africa, but it is a part of Africa. So we can claim Christianity on our own, even as it was co-opted and corrupted throughout what would become the United States. We carry within us a God of freedom. We carry within us a God of love. We carry within us a Jesus who was and is on the side of the oppressed. We practice a different Christianity from those of the enslavers. And through it all, we overcame. We survived. We survived the Judases among our kinfolk who sold us. We survived the Middle Passage. We survived the whip and the lash. We survived the ravishers of the white masters. We survived the KKK. We survived Jim Crow. We survived the lynchings. We survived. We survived. We survived all of this because we walked this faith. We walk in this faith. We hold on to this faith. We walk this far by faith. Faith in a God who knows no boundaries. Faith in a God who is always with us. Faith in a God who calls us by name. Faith in a God who gives us the strength to carry on. Faith in a God who called us out of bondage. And now we are called. We are compelled. We are obligated to pass on that faith to the children, so they will be strong, so they will know who they are and whose they are, so they will not be swayed by a society that tells them that they are nothing, that they are criminals, that their only future is prison. We are obligated to pass on that faith, so they will know their history, and they will be able to pass it on. As Nicole Hannah-Jones writes in the New York Times 1619 Project, we whose ancestors survived the Middle Passage, we are truly American. The waters of the Atlantic erase the connection with a specific country in Africa. Our heritage is African, but our citizenship is American, native, born Americans. And today we celebrate that this country is ours. This country is our home. We built it. We are home. And we're not going anywhere. Amen.